Hey everyone, I don't know if you just saw me do that thumbs up, that was to our tech, but hey guys, welcome. My name is Michael, feel free to cheer if you want. Welcome to the cosplay panel for PAX. Yeah, this is pretty exciting, this is one of the first things on at PAX, so give us a round of applause, or give us a cheer if this is the first thing you're doing at PAX. Excellent, priorities people! Well done. And I can see some people who are, I can see like a couple of different types of people here. People who have come in cosplay, people who have come, I guess, to learn, and then other people who've been dragged along because someone's costume is falling apart and they need to spot them for safety. You're the real heroes and MVPs. Cool. So we're going to be chatting about a lot of different things in this panel, but I thought I might start by introducing our panelists, and what I might do, because I always, you know, when you're talking about things, because I'm a bit of an outsider in this, and I worry that I will use the wrong words to describe people. So we'll just go down the line and get our panelists to introduce themselves and what their cosplay is. And I'll get you guys to give them a round of applause to welcome them. So we'll start with a person I know as Nikki from Riot, but yeah, just lean into the mic, tell everyone who you are, what your job is, and what you're dressed as.
Hey guys, so I'm Nikki, or Riot Akaner, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I've been cosplaying for forever. Today I'm Star Guardian Poppy. I run all our cosplay programs at Riot in Australia. And I'm nowhere near as cool as these guys, so.
Hi, I'm Zaf. I'm from Brisbane and I do a lot of League cosplay. I'm a Gold 3 support main because I'm a girl. And sorry. And this is my DJ Sona. She is my baby and I'm very proud of her and I'm pretty excited to be here today and to have her here to show you.
Hey, my name's Tim. I go under Piltover City Customs on cosplay stuff. But Tim is fine, it's easier to say and it sounds like a human name. I'm dressed today as Uther in his judgment armor from Heroes of the Storm. So I'm going a little bit against the grain with all of their Riot gear. But
Yeah, it's almost like it was rude of you to do that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding.
that's it.
And I'm Steve from Rob Props and Cosplay. I'm dressed as Victor today with this arm here. Have a absolute love-hate relationship with it, but it made it here today, so I'm happy. I'm based out of Adelaide and do a lot of armour, props and electronics builds.
Excellent stuff. Can I just get you guys to welcome our panelists for today? Excellent stuff. So let's kick this off, shall we? These are the people who are on, and then let's kick this off with. I want to ask. I guess I want to know, why did you start cosplaying, and why do you continue? Because, and the reason I ask this is because I go to a lot of these conventions, and I'd say about 40% of my time is spent watching people just struggle to go to the bathroom. That is, so there are a lot of difficulties, right?
Stand in a different part of the hall, like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Also, I just spend all my time hanging around in bathrooms. But let me start with you, Tim, because you just before we had a bit of trouble with your robotic arm.
That's
sorry, I apologize. So yeah, how did you start, and why do you continue?
Well, I started out because friends took me aside one day and very seriously said, I have to try this. I'm an engineer by trade and was already spending half my spare time woodworking, metalworking, playing around with hobbyist electronics. And eventually I was convinced to make a terrible EVA foam Darius to go with a friend's Draven build for a local convention. There are no photos of it that exist, for good reason. But after spending 2 weeks on that, I went aside and said, right, I have a robotics degree, what can I make? Spent about a year and made this Victor suit. Learned so much while doing it. It's turned off for the panel, unfortunately, but have a fully animatronic robot arm, 100 LEDs, there's a voice changer in the mask. It was an absolute nightmare to make. But huge learning experience and absolutely fell in love with it.
As something of a follow-up, I know a thing or two about having to tell your parents you've chosen to spend your time doing something they don't understand. So as someone who has a robotics degree, what was your family's reaction to you being like, I'm going to spend a year making like what they would see as dress-ups, I guess, you know?
I didn't tell them about it at all until I think that once they saw the end result though, and because they saw the end result once I had the trip to OPLs last year up
Sure.
in Sydney. I think the working with large game companies for it got a bit more legitimacy to it in their eyes. Maybe.
Sure, yeah.
But really, they're very supportive, like I think in that regard.
Excellent. Let's bring it down the panel and move down here. Again, why did you start cosplaying and why do you continue?
I guess when I started, I just kind of wanted to start making things. Initially, I just kind of wanted to have my own Buster sword, which is what you can see down there in the photo. And then friends kind of roped me into keep it going, I guess. From there, I guess from what I learned making the Buster sword, you see these things in YouTube videos and online and that kind of thing, and it's pretty intimidating to start with. But as terrible as that thing was in the current state that it's in now, it's kind of this, well, that's the starting point, and I did it, so what else can I do? And it's, the obvious answer is I do it for fun, but it's also kind of something to do, really.
Just anything to fill the void.
Well, that's
I know that, man.
a depressing way to look at it, but yeah, I doing one thing at a time doesn't really sit well with me. If I'm sitting down and watching TV, I need to be doing something else as well. If I'm playing a game, I've got YouTube open on one window and then Facebook open on another, and I'm darting between all three, and you can call it ADD if you want, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of I want to be doing as much as I can with.
One day I'll actually watch a movie and watch the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
Anything with subtitles, you can just forget about because
No, that's why I didn't watch Knuckles, on Netflix. I was like, no, I can't play games while I'm doing this. I have to read subtitles. No, thanks. Yeah. DJ Sona.
So I started cosplaying in high school when one of my Japanese teachers was like, hey, there's a mini Animania convention coming and people do cosplay. And I kind of went, there's an excuse for me to dress up. Yep, it's happening. So there's little grade 9 Zaf, just in the middle there in that beautiful party satin ruffled up dress with my first
Are you singing
costume.
there?
I got up on stage and
doing cosplay karaoke in that?
No, I got up on stage in the competition and a cappella sung the theme song to Cardcaptor Sakura because I thought it was a thing that people did. So little 14-year-old me was like, "Yep, this is where I'm going with my life. Let's go from here." And the little staff I made from a piece of a flower pot and the wings are held on with toothpicks, and I made it the night before. And after all these years, I'm still making things the night before conventions, and I kind of hoped I'd kicked that habit, but here we are.
Is that the adrenaline rush? The same as trying to hand in an assignment the night, you're doing an assignment the night before it's due. Is that why, or is it literally just disorganization that?
Little from column A, little from column B.
Sure.
I made a list, and when I look at the list, I'm like, yep, cool, I'm ticking things off, and then I look at the list, and I'm like, I've still got 40 more steps to go. This is not very motivating, but here we are. But working full time also makes doing cosplay, the thing that I would rather be doing full time, so much more challenging. So sometimes I sneak in embroidery at work when it's quiet in the evenings and I'm sewing at my desk. I'm like, my boss just doesn't walk in, this will be fine. So just keep, it's fun trying to balance it's not as terrible actually, trying to balance a work-life cosplay relationship, but it's...
And Akina?
So I'm a little bit similar to Zaffy. I think I was in high school. I was in high school, I think, when I found out about cosplay, and it was just one of those, this is a really cool thing, I'm going to do it. And so I've also got a awkward, embarrassing first cosplay photo. And I think for me, it's about those memories that you do build through the process. Thinking about sewing those red triangles actually makes me want to cry all over again. Because it was the first costume I'd ever made. It was not an excellent experience from that perspective. But it's also that challenge of...
What was not excellent about the experience?
Have you tried to sew?
No, I'm an idiot. I can't.
Yeah, no.
I can't sew. I'm competent at everything. I can barely do this.
I was literally using my boyfriend's mum's sewing machine for the first time.
Right.
No, I did.
Have you ever... I've stayed with people in relationships for real bad reasons.
Where's this going?
Did you... I would just worry if you're starting out with cosplay and you need to have access to your boyfriend's mum's sewing machine. Did the relationship stay longer than it,
I married him?
Oh, okay, yeah. Pretty good.
It was a really nice sewing machine.
Excellent.
Yeah, it worked out okay.
Yeah.
Looking for new cosplay handler. But yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of me.
Excellent stuff. Well, I guess people wanting to be here would also want to know about your process. And in particular, do you need me to hold this hammer? Is it getting heavy? Do you want to?
No, it's...
No, you're good? Okay.
Everything's
Yeah, because people would want to know exactly how you do the things you do. And all of you also have quite different processes, I imagine, because you're focusing on different things. So this question is, how do you turn an in-game design into an actual outfit? Because obviously, when people are designing characters in games, they probably don't necessarily, these selfish designers don't consider necessarily your needs. So I guess as well, I want to know about struggles you've had in terms of trying to manipulate some sort of digital image into a pattern. Yeah, do you want to, I'll start with you, Nikki, maybe?
Yeah, I guess so. I really just start out, I think probably the first step is the same one that any cosplayer goes through, of just trying to find all the reference materials humanly possible. Every screen cap, game design, sketch that is possibly available for a design. And I take that and just start actually sketching out what all those individual pieces might look like. I'm probably a little bit different from some of these guys here. By the time I'm finished wearing this today, it will probably have fallen apart. So I tend to be much more focused on trying to find a way to put together an outfit that looks right, whereas these guys actually put together something a little more functional than that.
Yeah, well...
you're wearing it for multiple times.
Functionals are very, very broad.
Yeah.
Right there, I'm like, yeah, really?
Well, to the rest of the panel then, like, in what ways is your process, would you say, different to that of just sort of sketching and then doing? Because you're all doing different things, so why don't we maybe highlight one or two things that you would do that is specific to your process?
I think that's probably best suited for Stephen because he's actually educated. I don't know, like I don't really think about making it last more than anything else. It's kind of just, if I make it the first time and I like it enough, I'm going to be more inclined to fix it when it inevitably breaks.
You're wearing actual metal scale mail right now.
Yeah, well, I mean,
can't
that's
say
it.
that.
It's,
I don't think you
it's
can
going
say
to
that.
last, but I mean, like it's kind of this spectrum where you make it as good as you can and then it will break down to here and you'll fix it up. But as soon as you kind of get past that halfway point where, people ask if you're going to, wear something to a convention, you're like, no, it's broken. That's kind of where it goes into the box and doesn't come out again.
Yeah, I know that. This should have been in the box about a year ago, but it's dragged out just for today. It shouldn't have been. But I guess the main thing I do differently with my process is because I try to incorporate a lot of mechanics and electronics into it, I will use a lot of computer design, CAD programs. I've recently been trying to use 3D printing, laser cutting, a bit more digital manufacturing techniques, just to get things really precise. But there's a lot of gears in, say, the staff there, which wouldn't be possible without using some kind of computer-aided design for it.
Well, that gear that you've got up on the screen now is sort of my method, I guess. It's two different methods that I use more than anything else. I use a lot of in-game assets and take screenshots of them and kind of rotate it around until I can kind of get like a three-dimensional idea of what's happening, and then I'll just kind of make a template out of that and decide what's on different layers and print it out to size. It's pretty archaic, I guess. It's not really something that would work for everyone, but it works for me because I'm quite happy to kind of eyeball a lot of the stuff that I do. The other one there, the shark shoulder, which is still a work in process in a big way, that's sort of, I guess, an adaptation of a Pepper Kura papercraft thing, except I've moved it into foam, so it's a bit less folding, but overall it's a similar kind of final product.
Yeah. Whoop, nope, that's the wrong button. Oh boy. Hey guys.
So, oh jeez.
Oops, back.
That list on the, I guess it's left, sorry, is my current Mercy project. I'm a very chaotic builder. For someone who
You have a list. That's a pretty good start.
I only made a list because Nikki told me she had a list. I was like, oh my god, she's.
I was super impressed. I was like, oh, Zaffy's got this really cool list. Like, I'm gonna put this in this.
I
in
only
this
made it because she said she was
presentation
really like she's got her puppy stuff sorted. I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna write a list and see what I need to do. And I wrote a list and I kind of went, there's a lot more here than I thought I needed to finish in a week. Yes.
That's why I don't write lists.
Yeah.
Intimidating.
So, as expected, costume didn't happen in a week. So that's where I got before I canned it temporarily. I'm very chaotic in my building, I will pick something that I want to work on. Usually I start with a prop because that's what I feel like I'm stronger at, and I will pour myself into that. So Mercy has a beautiful prop gun. I'm really proud of it. Her costume is interesting, to say the least. Not sure if it will be wearable, but we'll find out in a week's time. It'll be good. Stay tuned.
As part of your process, despite the fact that you claim to be quite chaotic, how do you then level out time? Like, how do you measure out? Because you say you're trying to budget to do it in a week. Maybe that's not going to happen. What's your process in terms of guessing how long you think a thing's going to take?
I sacrifice sleep until I'm sick.
Cool.
It's funny you're all laughing at my pain. Thanks, guys.
No, that is entirely what this panel's about. Yeah.
No, so I try and, I try and figure out what will take me the longest, like the props. With the bits that I want to focus on, will get the most dedication. And you'll see it in the final result. Like with Sona, the helmet is way cooler than this horrible suit that I've sewn 3 times. But here we are.
Everyone kind of starts with the bit that they like the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what keeps you motivated, though,
Yeah,
is you
kind of
see...
snowballs you into the whole thing.
You see that bit that you started with. So like the bottom right corner is my Katarina blades that I made last year. You can see the process I went through to build them. Is I started with my foam, I had my scaled up artwork references, covered them with Warbler, took every photo, I took so many photos, painted them, and then suddenly blades. There was a lot of time actually spent on those. Those photos don't do like the amount of time sanding with my tears justice. It is really difficult to find the good balance of time if you're a person like me who's not very good at being time managed. Yeah, positive.
And mess. There's a
Yeah.
big mess.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's all on a table though, that's all right.
Yeah.
That's because
It goes on the floor.
I recently acquired that table, so now it's my space.
We were having a good old
Definitely.
chat last week as we were kind of preparing for this, and kind of we're all going, oh, look, I'm trying to finish this costume. I've got, 2 days left. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Here's my dining table. Haven't seen it in 3 months.
All right, well, let's move on, shall we? Let's talk about the tech. I guess we'll go back to you, Stephen, because we've been talking about using CAD programs and you're experimenting with 3D printing and stuff. I guess you got started in tech by having a degree in robotics.
That's cheating.
Yeah, but I kind of just want to hear about failures. I want to hear about your struggles. I want to hear about because that's the process a lot of people are going to go through. That's how you learn, right?
Absolutely. I just want to be clear here. You do not need a degree in the slightest to get started with this. It was a good start for it, but a lot of this was still based on online tutorials and trial and error and the sort of things that anyone could pick up from a kit from online somewhere. It might look intimidating to start with, but it's not as bad as it looks. So up on screen here, I guess, talking about the CAD again, is the stuff you can see in the corner over here. A cross-section through that showing how the motors are making the mirrors at the top spin. And that's the sort of thing that you kind of need 3D printing for the precision. Unless you're an old-school toolmaker or something, it's not going to be possible without that kind of tech. You got circuit diagrams and laser cutting patterns.
Yeah, this looks pretty easy. I reckon I could.
Yeah, next slide.
YouTube
next
tutorial,
slide.
nail this.
Jesus. No one needs to deal with this kind of stuff. But really,
Oops, sorry.
yeah,
Oops.
that's right. But yeah, when it comes down to the tech, I guess you've got 2 areas you can look at. There's the controlled stuff, things like Zaf's helmet here, with where you actually need proper microcontrollers, Arduino, for example, to make it do the job, or the servo control on the robot arm here. That's something that might be a bit more advanced, that you need a microcontroller for. But if you just want LEDs on your work, it is entirely achievable. You can do a lot with an afternoon and some LEDs and some batteries. Look online. There is so many resources out there to get you started if you're interested in giving it a try.
Speaking of LEDs and said helmet, do you want to talk us through some of these images here?
Yep, so this was the original build of the Sona helmet. I've now got a handy wireless remote. My 2 good friends, Jamie and John from Cosplay, saved me on this. Originally, my first build, I'd found this terrible LED panel that I was just going to be kinetic only, and that was it. And they kind of approached me and went, hey, Zaf, we can do better than this. And I kind of went, can we? Really?
Did you feel offended by that? People
No,
coming
oh
to-
God, no, I went, we can,
Oh,
but
right.
I don't want to be the one doing better than this, but sure, let's overachieve. And they found some cool resources online. We bought some kits offline. Again, it's just stuff you can find and put together. There's so many tutorials. Like, YouTube is the best resource ever. Oh my gosh. And then it's just sitting and practicing and messing with code and plugging away and hopefully, yeah. So my friend John actually did the code for the helmet. I think if I had maybe 3 years, I could maybe get one of these looking the level that I like, but he did a bang up job. It's fully randomized, it's beautiful. This is, so shiny. But the inside of the helmet and how it all comes together was a bit of a nightmare. There's a battery taped to the top of my head, but that's fine because there was no space. But you can see in the bottom right photo, we have an Arduino that I've ripped out. It used to all be in one half of the helmet, so I would be weighed down to one side while wearing it. And by the end of 8 hours, I'd be like, this is fine. Yeah. So we did a lot of reorganizing and shuffling and looked for more compact ways to do things. We got a smaller board, we got a wireless tube in there, so I've now got more comfort. But again, it looks really intimidating, but it's just, for me, it's a lot of trial and error. But even just button cell battery, LED, bam, you're glowing. Everyone loves lights. Oh my gosh. Like, there's a Thresh in the corner right now who's just radiating magnificence. Sorry, Thresh, didn't mean to drag attention to you, but when you came in, I just kind of went, yes, please be my friend.
Well, let's hear from some of the other panelists about challenges, because like I said, I really want to hear about failure because that's how we learn. So maybe I'll start with you, Tim. What's like your biggest sort of fail?
I don't know.
Happened around 30 years ago?
Yeah, it's pretty much been a snowball.
Well, I mean, because this is such a lovely and close-knit community, feel free to talk about other people's failures, I guess, on the panel.
Look, I've never really been afraid to make mistakes or kind of learn from those mistakes because, I mean, I'll always consider myself an amateur for anything that I'm making because I have no formal training. I spend exactly as much time, looking at YouTubes and references on how to make stuff as I do actually making it. My dad always used to say, because he's a builder, he'd say, measure twice and cut once, but the process has always kind of been this, spend 6 hours researching, another 6 hours looking at reference material, make your template, make sure it's right, measure it, cut it, do it again, because it was wrong the first time. And when you're
like
making things from
measure 8 times, cut 9 times kind of thing.
Yeah. It's measure it, cut it, work out what was wrong, and measure and cut it again.
Yeah.
So I finished with one final product, but the template just for these, I had 3 of them, just because it had to, line up exactly right. So as far as sort of making mistakes and that's concerned, I've never really had like a colossal game-breaking failure. There's always something that goes wrong.
But is that kind of the process then? If you're continually doing sort of, like you said, small readjustments, small failures, and then small successes, by the time you get it to a point where you're wearing it in public, hopefully.
Sometimes not even then. The first time, because my process, when we were saying before, everyone's got their own processes where they write lists and get their stuff done. I kind of fixate on an individual piece until it's finished, and so I'll do a shoulder all the way up to painting it like 100% completed before I'll move on to the next one. And so as far as actual fitting and stuff is concerned, it's kind of a crapshoot until you're 80% ready. So the shoot that I've got there up on the screen, that was the first time that I'd ever put it on, and everything literally kind of burst off in the car park while I was trying to get it together. So I mean, things will always go wrong, and as long as you've kind of anticipated for that in the drive home and get some glue. Thank you, Amy. Where are you?
What about you, Akinara? What sort of things have you been challenged by in your cosplay career?
I think mine is consistently that I do not have enough patience. Tim talks about measure twice, cut once. Like, I just cut once and then I realize it doesn't fit, and then I'm a little bit upset with myself and I go, I need to learn from this. Next time I'm going to measure. And I just don't. Every time I sew, I'm like, I'm not going to pin these together. I'm just going to chuck them straight in the sewing machine. We'll see what happens. Spend the next hour unpicking an entire dress.
you think that you've eyeballed something and it fits just right, and then you decide you're going to eyeball everything, and everything goes wrong.
Yeah, it's one of those things I really would have expected myself to have learnt from it by now, and I just don't. And so I take shortcuts, and then I'm like, oh, that wasn't. It turns out there's a reason people do things the right way. 3 weeks ago, I was like, guys, I don't know how I'm going to get this handle to attach to my hammer, and Stephen's like, oh, so have you made, a PVC pipe like inner for the entire hammer? I was like, no, dude, I bought a mop handle and I glued it to the foam. And so then I had to go to Bunnings and buy a bunch of PVC, and it was just like everyone else is going, dude, like, you know how this works. You can't take these shortcuts. I'm like, no, it'll totally be fine. It's not. Just don't actually learn from the people around you. They do genuinely know what they're doing, even if they pretend they don't.
All right, well, let's move on. It's 2016, obviously, building a quote-unquote brand, a word I'm sure we all find disgusting, but, it's part of the vernacular now. How do you build an online cosplay brand? Because it's... and as awkward as this is to talk about, because obviously you just do it for fun, but that's part of the business, right? If you want to have a following and maybe make this your career eventually, that's kind of a thing you've got to commit to. So who wants to wade into these gross commercial waters first?
Hi,
Get in
I'm
there,
Zaf. How do you build an online cosplay brand? Oh, jeez. Okay, so there are a few things that factor heavily. One, I found you need to be very good at social media. I'm not very good at social media. Social media scares the heck out of me and intimidates me, and I seem to be doing it wrong. But I see people with solid brands doing it well, and I look at them and I go, this is amazing. They've got their audience, they target their audience, they found their market, and they want to push for that, so that's all they do. A couple other things, luck, right time, right place. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are like Overwatch fans, but like there was a Witch Mercy cosplay that went out the other week and it blew up. She went from like 6,000 Facebook followers to 40,000 in one night because right time, right place. Like, good costume as well, but just stars just kind of align sometimes.
But that's also about being prepared for those opportunities when they arise, right?
So
Yeah.
being organised, also helps with having a cosplay brand. Funny things. I'm not the right person to talk to about that, but there's a lot of different factors. I don't want to go into it, but I'm going to go into it. The physical things. So if you're a 10 out of 10 babe, you're going to get a little bit noticed easier. Sorry, I'm saying anything everyone's thinking.
So what do you reckon my chances are? Like, if I had to...
Oh, yeah.
Thoughts on
9.
7?
Do you want to wear this?
Yeah.
That's fine, you
You
guys.
can ask us nicer questions.
I think cosplay is kind of unique, especially in kind of a commercial sense, because a lot of people that make and or wear clothes are either they're models or they're makers, and cosplay, you kind of expect it to be both of those things.
In this, you're thrown into the limelight wearing the things that you make.
That's it. That's exactly
And
right.
that's
And in a big way, there's cosplay fans, and then there's people that are going to be following you because of either the stuff that they make or the stuff that you're wearing, and don't generally seem to appreciate the fact that you're actually doing both a lot of the time. So it's, I guess what I'm trying to say is kind of have some idea of the kind of fan base that you're looking to generate, whether you're trying to appeal to the people that want to see the makers of the models. It's tough for us, even for a lot of the bigger cosplayer personalities. They'll kind of target one or the other, and be broad across social media as well. Like, Facebook's all well and good for harnessing likes, but there's not really much in the way of engagement when it comes to, especially engaging with developers and companies and that kind of stuff. I don't think I've had much or any contact through Facebook. It's all been through Twitter or Instagram, because they're a lot more present there. So if you do want to be in a situation where you're collaborating with game developers or retailers or even conventions, sort of hedge your bets and get across all of them. It's kind of this situation where people will kind of get into it and be like, well, I'm going to make cool cosplays and I'm going to have great fantastic photos, ? Profit. And that question mark a lot of the time comes down to engaging properly and thoroughly. It's a lot more work than it looks like.
And
Yeah.
I think, oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
And I think part of what kind of comes into that is creating content. If you look at some of those really successful cosplay brands, if you look at someone like Jessica Negri, you know, cosplay is quite difficult because you can spend a year working on one costume and there's your one burst of content. But if you look at those really successful kind of brands out there, they're producing a lot of content all the time. And so, you know, for every costume, there's a video, there's photos, there's in-progress shots. So there's a lot of content that people can look at and be engaging with on a really frequent basis. And I think that's one of the big pieces. And it is challenging for cosplay because of the sheer amount of work that goes into literally just making the thing.
So we're going to take some questions as well from the audience. So maybe guys start thinking about that. I just want to... I think we've got a mic down the front here that people can line up at and ask questions. Just kind of put a hand up now if you want to ask questions so I can get a hand on... All right, so there's a few people. We've got a bit of time. That's all right. So I just want to drill down on this online cosplay brand thing. I think with anything that's a creative passion, the transition from working on something as something you are organically passionate about and just doing for fun into monetizing is awkward and it can be difficult because suddenly if you're flung to a job where you're not doing anything you want to do or necessarily, you're working for someone else at this point, right? If at the point where someone says to you, hey, I want you to dress as this thing and make this costume, this cosplay, etc. I mean, can you talk about how to maintain some sort of motivation when you're working not just for your own passions, or is it about aligning those things? What's sorry?
You just have a deadline all of a sudden. Like at the moment, it's always kind of been like, okay, there's a convention in 6 months and I'll probably have it ready by then. And if I don't, then that's, you know, fine.
So it's the fear of not getting it done.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've done events where they've been like, hey, it's in 2 months.
Yeah.
And that's not enough time. Not for me, and especially the first time that I was asked to do something within 2 months, I was kind of panic mode and I had to outsource a lot of it, which was a bit unfortunate, but it's kind of a matter of, you know, getting the job done and being the presence that they want you to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all I kind of got to say.
It's really rough at times, but as soon as you get that golden ticket, that job that you want to do, and even if it's got a 2-week deadline, you kind of go, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to do it to the best of my abilities, and you throw yourself at it. It's still worth it, even if you're sick at the end of it or you've barely made yourself to the event. You're doing the thing that you want to do. If you want to be making things, make things. Like, if you're doing it for fame and monetary likes, that's fine if that's your motivation. But as long as you're happy doing what you're doing and that's what your target is, that's where you should be heading.
Yeah.
It's like I've had bills, which was you have 2 weeks to make a prop, and I kind of went, let's do it. And then it was 3 hours of sleep a night for 2 weeks. But in the end, it happened, and I kind of sat back and I reflected, and I was really proud of myself. It's like, here is all of this content that I've made in 2 weeks when I can barely put a costume together in 3 months. You saw my mercy list. So it's really, it's interesting. It's a really fun and challenging place to kind of be, and just sort of watching your brand grow. Like over the past couple of years, I've had a lot of good opportunities, and I'm really proud that I've had the chance, and it's really cool to be up here with these cool people. And that's it. Like, keep working towards what you want to be doing. If you want to be making cosplay, if you want to be traveling the world, going to conventions, push for it. Like, don't be disheartened because you're seeing people with hundreds of thousands of likes or retweets get shipped off to conventions for free. Like, you can get there. You just have to work.
And
at the expense of your health, usually. But yeah.
I feel like this has mostly been a cry for help from you today.
Oh God, I barely made it here this week. Like,
When did we make it to bed last night?
3 a.m.
3:30?
3 a.m. We were up working on his Victor costume, which you're not getting away with not speaking about on here.
Yeah. I'll just show you very quickly.
Yep. It was working 1 minute. We put it together. It was working. Everything was great. Then it was not working. We all just kind of sat down and went, there is a fault here somewhere.
This is what this looks like if you can
Yeah.
see it inside.
It's a
Tried to debug this rat's nest of wires until 3 in the morning.
2 in the morning last night. We're just crying, going, "Is this worth it?" And you know
It
what?
didn't work.
But you made it, and you're still wearing Victor. So
Somehow.
yeah.
Probably shouldn't be.
All
I
right.
think as well, just before we
Yeah, move on to
move on, I think it's important to have a good idea of how much your work is worth as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In a big way, and especially for people that are doing it amateurishly, as we are. You're kind of like, okay, well, I work for $20 an hour, and that doesn't factor in any of the time that you spent making it or buying the materials or getting necessary training if you did that as well. And so it's important to have some idea of how much you think your work is worth, and B, develop some, I don't want to say sales skills, but at least some negotiation skills. Every time that I've been asked to do a commission, it's kind of this, I just flatly tell them, how much I would expect, how much I would pay for my work. And then it kind of moves on to this, yeah, but I could get it from China for X amount. And it's, you don't want to say, yeah, but you're getting what you pay for, but at the same time, that's what you're doing. So yeah, have an idea of how much time you're going to be putting into it. And if you're expecting compensation for your time, don't be afraid to ask for more than just exposure, because there's only so exposed you can be before it becomes worthless.
All right, let's get people to start lining up. If you want to ask questions, come to the front. And while that's happening, did you have a comment, Nikki? Or otherwise, I've got one more thing I wanted to ask about. If you,
I guess I was about to get on exactly the same soapbox that Tim just got on. I think, especially for anyone who's looking to start monetizing from their work, value your time.
Yeah.
The number of times I talk to a cosplayer, I'm like, oh, how much would you sell that for? And they're like, oh, well, the materials cost, a couple of $100. I'm like, yes, but you spent 300 hours on it. Like, recognize that your time is actually worth something and that your skills are incredible. These guys are...
but what about exposure?
Oh, yeah, exposure is so important. No, like, just genuinely recognize that what you guys do is really special and you are developing some really cool skills. And that's worth something. So
Yeah,
it's just,
absolutely.
that's my personal little
From what we were
soapbox.
saying before, when you hire someone for this, for a commission work, you're usually hiring in a prop maker, a seamstress, a model, social media expert. There's not really any other field where you have to be that multidisciplinary just to start.
Yeah.
Absolutely would value your time.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think it's time for us to open up the floor to questions. So yeah, if you're inspired to ask something, there's going to be a line here. I think we also might have a roving mic at some point if you're not able to get to the front. But if you want to just step up, just say your name and direct your question, and then ask it, please.
Hey guys, is the mic on?
You might need to.
While they get that fixed, Beard Guardian Lux.
Is it?
Yeah. Let's
Can you
just call
stand
that
up for a
Beard
minute,
Guardian
please,
Lux.
so I can get a good look at you and your shiny beard?
Please.
And can everyone applause him,
So we
please?
start.
You're the real MVP.
I've just been staring at it all panel. I'm like, I can't speak anymore. It's amazing.
All right. Let's kick off the questions, please.
I don't think, is the mic on?
It should be on. Yeah.
Hey guys, just wondering, what is your dream League of Legends cosplay and your dream cosplay that's not from League?
Ooh.
And why is it Urgot?
All right. So let's
Put it out in the
let's do
face for
a speed run down the panel. Akin, I'll start with you.
Can we start at the other end?
Sure. You've passed.
Okay. I guess for Dream League cosplay, I'm wearing it. A version that works would be nice, but... But yeah, I kind of started with my dream cosplay, I think. So for outside of League, I would love to make some huge robotic thing from Warhammer 40k, maybe. Just go all out with it. But really, nothing's decided yet. Tim?
From League. I don't know, like I was really into Braum for a while, and I did make Braum, and that
Braum was amazing, come on.
was my favourite. Probably Timo.
But like a full body, furry, like
I'm not,
serious team.
Not sexy Timo.
Great. Can you just? I think let's walk through what elements would you change of Timo's costume to make it sexy Timo?
None of it.
None of it.
Just wouldn't be furry.
Right. So yeah, we just say Timo. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Modestly sexy.
And non-league cosplay?
Yeah, mine's going to be a 40k one as well. I started, before I started making this, I was really into making the God Emperor of Mankind.
Say what you want, but they've got great visual design there, don't they?
They're gorgeous, and it's basically a Space Marine in full King attire, and this was kind of meant to be my sanity project while I was doing that, because every part of it's so intimidatingly detailed, and it's all like perfectly clean gold, and you zoom in and there's more detail, and you zoom in and there's more detail. So I was kind of decided that I was just going to chip away at Uther every now and again, and it turns out that I got this completely finished before I'd even started on God Emperor. So I have a giant pair of boots sitting in my spare room that, will one day get completed.
My dream league project is Vi. I made a version of her a couple of years ago in 48 hours. Yep. And I want to do her again. Now I know what I'm doing. Well, kind of know what I'm doing. I have a better idea. I want like moving gears in her gloves. I want like smoke machines, and it's gonna be sweet. Like
can do that.
That's my league.
We
Yes.
can do that.
We can do that. Steve's gonna make it happen. Apparently, I'll take the credit.
Well, you're not going to help with my
This
team
is
over there?
on camera now, and you're all witnesses.
Yeah. So default Vi, because everything about her design I love, and also like I have still my old costume, and I put it on a couple of weeks ago. I was like, yep, the pink hair, it's gonna happen. And not league cosplay would be Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, classic. Yeah, Princess Zelda. I want to do metal work for the armor, embroider everything. I've bought an embroidery machine, and I'm now learning to use that because sewing apparently. So that's like I would get married in that dress. Like everything would just be decadent.
I guess for me, I'm a little less far along on the craftsmanship journey. I really want to do a project skin with all the shiny, like super glossy armor and the LEDs. And all the
Again, we can do
fanciness.
this.
Yeah. Project Leona next year.
You're going to be so busy next year. So that's, I'm thinking Project Leona would be my jam. Outside of League, most of the character designs, drank the Kool-Aid. Most of the character designs that really resonate with me outside of League actually aren't particularly difficult costumes. It's more about the characters. So like stuff from Rize from Persona 4, something like that. Like actually really straightforward, but I just really love her character. So I really want to do that at some point.
All right. Well, thank you for your answers. Let's move it along. We've got 12 minutes left, so let's try and keep these questions answers a little bit shorter and questions a bit shorter, or less complex, so we can get through
You
everyone.
sort of answered my question, which
Right.
was I was going to ask how you decided on what you were going to cosplay. Like, is it the complexity that appeals to you, or say a character that you really love? And what do you think that if you choose something that you really like a character that you really like, that might motivate you more to achieve or finish these projects?
Yeah, absolutely. Stuff that I haven't experienced, I guess. Like if there's a character that I haven't played, or a game I haven't played, or a movie I haven't seen, and you just kind of see a picture of it. I know a lot of people are happy just with the design, but for me it's kind of, there's a bit more of a connection to it, I guess. I don't especially care about, playing the character or anything like that, but it's always stuff it's some kind of experience for me before I decide I want to do it.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit the other way. I more go for the what would let me have something interesting to make, or learn some new skills. I think we had up on screen before my Elder Maxim from Fallout, which I did not because I love the character, but because I got to learn leatherwork for it, or because the character might have a fun prop that looks good to make, or yeah.
For me, it's a bit of both as well. I love taking on characters that I'm in love with the design with. Like, that's my Leona up there, and when I first debuted her, I was like, I need to learn the voice, I need to learn all the lines, I'll get up on stage, I'll swing my sword around, and it was just really cool being able to embody that character, and that was really important. Same with Sona, I've done a whole bunch of her skins, because I love her design, I love being support, like, it's what appeals to me, so I want to take that in.
Yeah, and I find, especially with League, I usually pick what I'm going to cosplay based on the design that makes me go, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that, yeah. But then I actually go away and try and make a point of playing the champion. So last year I did Kindred, tried to main Kindred for a while, sucked at Kindred, and it was okay, but you know, like it's for me, it's about making sure that I understand what that character
I'm
is.
a terrible Victor player.
If any of us wanted to cosplay what we were good at, we'd be down to like.
Thanks, guys. You look great.
Well, no, I'm still bronze.
Cool. Yeah. Hi.
Hi, sort of adding on to the questions that have been asked. Once you've decided on a character that you'd like to play for yourself, do you do anything it takes to make that happen, or does the complexity of the design, like the Victor arm, for example, you might think, look, that's beyond my skills, I won't do it, or do you just pick what you want to do and just whatever it takes make that happen?
I guess I picked this because it was completely beyond my skill level. It's just something to force me to go make something completely crazy. I really love learning new skills, new techniques to be able to do this kind of thing. So I learnt 3D printing and laser cutting just for this project, and it was totally worth it.
And with enough time and patience, I guess, there's enough information on the internet that you can absorb to kind of
Absolutely.
get through just about anything. It's really just a matter of knowing where to look for it and taking the time to understand it. That, you know, if you really want to do something, you'll find a way to make it happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks. Next.
Vega or Viga?
Vega.
Speed round. Down the line. What are you
Vega.
saying?
I was a Vega until I heard somebody else say Vega. That was.
You're a sheep. Sheeple.
Well, I mean, they were riot people, so I figured they knew what was happening.
Viga.
I'm Riot people, and I still say Viga.
All right, well, that's.
I
allowed
also
to
say
be wrong,
Viga.
it's
see
okay.
myself out there.
Vinegar. All right. Cool. Next question.
When you choose your cosplay, do you consider your likeness to the character, or do you just kind of go with anything?
No.
Just go all in.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I like
mean,
helmets.
I can't float, like, sorry guys, so no. But
It's too constricting. Like, if I was to limit my choices based on this face, like children, like cosplaying like babies, and that's it.
Most of your cosplays would be teenage Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I can see it now.
Yeah,
Now I can't unsee it.
yeah. Cool.
But right, Akhenaten?
I guess for me, it's not necessarily my physical limitations. I'm really short.
You know,
Really
you're
short.
cosplaying a Yordi right
It's
now.
more about what I feel comfortable in. So,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm quite short, there are a lot of designs that for me, I look at them and I just go, you know what, I'm just not quite right. Like nothing I can sew is going to make me the shape that I wanted to be for this. And that's kind of fine because there are so many other designs out there that I
Yeah.
can kind of find and go, you know what, that'll be the one. But it comes down to personal comfort and confidence rather than the actual physicality. I'm not a yordle. I don't have fluffy ears.
As a follow-up, do cosplayers, do you often get people being like, you don't look like that person without the, like, is that a...
Secretly
kind
not
of
a cyborg, sorry.
Yeah. You're not really a robot! Is that a thing you guys have to deal with a lot?
all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a
straight up,
standard
all the time.
answer? Just be like, yeah, I'm
Sorry, I'm not animated and, you know.
not a magical DJ. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
middle
I
finger
speak,
usually
yeah.
works.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Next, we have 7 minutes left, so we have
Plenty of
about
time.
3.5 for each of your questions.
How do you guys go about patenting and everything?
How do you go about patterning and everything?
Like sewing or templates. I mean, it's kind of a different thing for each. Like templates, I'll tend to make my own for foreign work, just off of screenshots. Websites like WildDB and not Wowhead. What's the one for League? Lolking. Well, they've actually got model viewers. You can turn it around, take screenshots of individual parts, and then kind of do a little bit of finagling with Photoshop to flatten them out. Is a massively convenient tool. For sewing, I mean, I don't really do a whole much of it, but it's kind of just a matter of finding an existing pattern for me and making it work from there.
I bought one set of dress patterns probably about 10 years ago because I think I used them for my first cosplay, and I still pull those out every time I need to make a dress because I just know it's just the right shape, and then I just kind of, I cut once, measure never. So I just kind of slap it on there and go, yeah, we'll see what happens if we... And it works okay. Like this breastplate is actually made using that same dress pattern, even though it's actually, you know, not fabric at all. But it's very much kind of a trial and error process for me.
Anyone else want to get in on that?
Yeah, for sewing, I will sew something that looks as close as I can get to at least the shape, and then I will draw all over it with a permanent marker, cut it up, take it in, add pieces, take away pieces, put it all together. Like this suit I've made 3 times because I had to account for the different stretches in the fabric. So when I originally patterned for it, I was like, yeah, this will be fine. And then I have 2 different types of material and they stretch differently. So it was, let's cut it all up again and puzzle it back together and draw again and go from there and pray, mostly.
And I think there's no guide in the world that is going to be like, hey guys, make sure that you're using a fabric with this exact stretch because otherwise it's all going to go a little pear-shaped.
Yeah.
You
Lots
just
of
kind
trial
of,
and error.
Yep.
you just kind of find out as you go. And unfortunately that can be a stressful process, but
All right. Thank you for the question. Let's get on to the next. Oh, we've got an extra person as well. All right.
Hi there. For those of us who want to make those big, intricate builds, but don't quite have the courage to, take a step to do that, what advice would you give us to, overcome the fear of making something super complex?
Make a mistake.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to just jump in and try it the first time, because you learn from making mistakes. If it's just a matter of I'm afraid to throw a little bit of money away because I cut this piece of wood wrong, then it's really not that bad. Yes, it's money, but at the same time, it gives you a better idea of what you did and what to do next time.
Absolutely. This is not my first attempt at the torso or the arm or the mask or anything in here. I made so many mistakes working on this, and you just have to try.
You just got to silence that little voice in your head that says, that's trying to tell you that you can't do it, because you can. You're just going to waste a bit of time and a bit of resources, which is admittedly very rough at times, but you can just keep trying to learn things and improve.
Yeah.
It's just...
So kind of like failure should be built in, baked into the cake.
Failure is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
Going for
Expected, really.
Yeah.
Especially going for something where you're not already confident with it, trying something new. Go in trying to learn as much as you can, not trying to make something that's going to be perfect. And keep iterating, and you'll get there in the end.
And I think don't be afraid to reach out to other people in the community. This is my first big prop, and like I said, I reached out to these guys. I was like, guys, my handle doesn't attach. What do I do? And they've done this before. There's always going to be someone who has at least tried it before, so they should have some advice. And I think honestly, it's one of the most positive, friendly communities I've ever been a part of.
Absolutely.
So
Collaboration is great. There is no shame in working with other people and getting advice and feedback. If you don't have a skill set, somebody out there will, and you'll find someone that will be happy to share that with you.
And I think
Cosplay's great. Yeah.
we're all really happy to babble about our process for hours on end. It's why we're sitting at this table right now. So please do ask us questions.
Sure.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, this is the last question. So no pressure, but it has to be perfect.
If a Star Guardian Urgot skin was released, would you just cosplay it?
Collectively?
We're going to sew it together. And
Like a Voltron.
Yeah. I would be the legs.
all of the legs at once.
Yeah.
I think we need 2 of us to be the
belly.
legs, because the spider, kind of. Does he have?
No.
No, he's got 4 legs. Shut up,
I don't know how many legs he's got.
We're going to need reference pictures to figure this out, but we will make this happen.
Yeah.
Next it's on camera, all witnesses. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get you all to thank our panelists here today? Thank you guys so much. This has been super informative and wonderful. Have a great PAX, everybody, and we'll see you at all the other stuff we're doing. Thanks.
Thanks,
Cheers,
everyone.
bye.
Thanks.